Hello everyone, it's Belinda here with you today sharing a new project for the Hip Kit Club design team. Today I am creating a 2-page layout featuring 10 photos using the August 2025 Hip Kits. And for this project I've used the main kit, which includes the 12x12 pattern paper and the Embellishment Kit, along with the Cardstock Kit, the Pocket Life Kit and the Summer Metal Die Set. I really had so much fun working with the chipboard frames to make a gallery feature and using the envelope die set from July to tuck some journaling in behind my feature photo. I can't wait to show you how this all comes together. And of course, all of the products that you are seeing me working with today are exclusive to the Hip Kit Club. So to begin with, I'm preparing my background. I have 2 pieces of this beautiful textured white cardstock from my stash. And because this is a 2-page spread, I'm taking a little bit of a departure from my usual background process, which is to mat the white cardstock. And instead, I'm adding 2 patterned paper strips to the top and the bottom of each of those pages. And that just helps to really bring the 2 sides of the layout together. The plan that I have in mind is going to be sort of a feature photo on one side and then a gallery on the other side. So they are going to be quite different. There's not going to be a really clear flow from one page to the other, although I am going to use lots of repeated elements just to make it a cohesive design. So adding these border strips across both pages does help to bring the entire design together. I've picked out the 2 wavy pattern designs. There's the pink and the blue, and I've just cut, I think I cut about 1/2 inch strips because I didn't want to waste too much of that beautiful pattern paper. And then just to help me get them lined up, I've used my T-square ruler to mark out where the blue paper is going to sit. That's the one that's going to be underneath. And I don't need to have that right up against the edge of the white cardstock because it's going to be covered by the pink strip. So I used my ruler to just draw some lines to guide me there in where to place those. That's absolutely my perfectionism at play. You absolutely do not have to do this. You can eyeball it and it will be just fine, I promise. You don't have to be as finicky as I am. And then I'm just going to show you quickly here. I have taken it over to my sewing machine and added a line of stitching over each of those strips. That helps to keep them in place, and it also adds that little bit of extra texture, which I just absolutely love in all of my projects. Stitching is something that you will see, I think, in just about every single thing that I make, whether it is a scrapbook page or a traveler's notebook page or even a pocket page layout. You are going to find stitch borders and stitched elements absolutely everywhere. Now for the design on this left-hand side, where I am going to have my big 4x6 feature photo, I'm working with an idea that I had. This is actually an idea that I had that I was going to work with on the first project that I shared, but it didn't quite work out with the photos that I had chosen. So I really, really wanted to work with it, and I'm going to make it work here. So I've cut down a whole bunch of strips. These are about 1 inch wide strips, and I've tried to choose some pattern papers that coordinate with the photos. They also are coordinating with the border strips just to sort of tie everything in together. But I wanted them to be fairly neutral, nothing too bold, nothing that stands out a lot. And I think these go really well together. So I cut more than I needed. I sort of played around with the placement a little bit, got something that I was fairly happy with, and just grabbed my scissors and cut off piece of each of those strips. I don't want them to be the same width. I want them all to be different, and I don't want them to be perfectly aligned, which I know, considering I've just talked about how much of a perfectionist I am. They're not perfectly aligned, but they are going to be just about perfectly straight, so do not worry about that. And then to add a little bit extra with that basket weave patterned paper, I have grabbed my fringing scissors and I've fringed the edges of those. Now, if you don't have fringing scissors in your stash, that is okay. You can still achieve this technique really easily using a pair of scissors. It will obviously take you a little bit longer, but you absolutely don't need fringing scissors to get this effect. And what I'm trying to go for here is just adding as much texture as I possibly can, because I am relying on well, I thought I was going to rely on patterned paper for texture, but you will see in a moment that I do bring some other bits and pieces in. I've also torn the edge of that blue patterned paper, again, just adding a little bit more texture in, and I have grabbed my distresser and distressed the edges of the palm print paper and the pink wavy paper. But before I place those paper strips down, I do want to get my feature photo ready. So I'm just going to trim down the border that was printed out, mat it onto some white cardstock. This is something that I always do in my scrapbook projects. I know it's not necessary, but I really like having that extra layer, that extra bit of dimension, and I just find that using a cardstock mat just adds a little bit more than having the printed border on it. Now, in the photos, my daughter is wearing a really beautiful bright pink swimsuit, a pair of bathers, and so I wanted to tie that in with the photo mat. This is an ombre a piece of cardstock from the Cardstock Kit in a really beautiful ombre print. I had already used some of it on another project, so I would just sort of laid the photo down and found a spot where the ombre worked well with the photos, the colors in the photos, as well as the colors that are in the papers that I've chosen. Then I'm going to add some tissue paper behind that photo, again, just for something a little bit extra. I have a huge stash of tissue paper. I save it up when I get things packaged, when I, purchase things from fancy shops, clothing from fancy shops, and it comes wrapped in tissue paper. Anything that comes with tissue paper, I have a little drawer that I store it in. And for just some added texture, I like to sort of crumple it up in my hand first before I lay it out flat. I just find that is just a really nice extra bit of detail there. So I wanted to prepare that photo because I needed to make sure that my strips of paper were going to be placed in the right spot, that you were going to be able to see enough of them. And you can, but spoiler alert, by the time I've finished adding all of my embellishments and all of my bits and pieces on, a lot of these are covered up and you're going to lose a lot of it, but I don't mind. They are there. It's quite subtle. And when you are looking at the finished project, you can definitely see those layers. They're just not super visible. And I am absolutely okay with that because it all adds to the finished product. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue down the middle of each of these strips because I am intending to take it over to my sewing machine, which you can see here. And I have used a different colored thread. It's a coral color that really works well with the coral that you can see in those palm trees. And I have used some different stitches that are available on my sewing machine. You don't see them in the end. They are really beautiful and I really like them and I definitely want to play with them again, but they do, particularly that blue one there, that's going to get covered up completely. Again, we're okay with it. I'm just having fun with the process. So now I'm trying to figure out where to put my photo and I want one more bit of texture behind this. When I think of water, beachy, summery, holiday things, I don't know, I get like a maritime feel. And what I'm using here, it's a gauze. It's a type of gauze. Now these actually came from this is in my stash. I believe you can get it in pharmacies. You can probably get it online. I've got a whole bundle of it. I've used it quite a few times. I often forget that it's there, but I did remember for this layout, and so I wanted to add it here. Now, because it is really fine and there's not a whole lot to adhere to, I like to staple the bits down. So I like to get it into place first, pull it apart. What I love about it is that you can pull it as far apart as you like and then staple it in place. I've got a long arm stapler. You probably don't necessarily need a long arm stapler, but that's what I use. And then that helps to keep it in place. Now, because this layout is going to be quite busy with photos and with embellishments, and I did want to get my journaling in because this is the first time that my daughter went for a swim. It was on holiday in Bali way back in 2016. And I just had some things that I wanted to say about it, obviously. So there's no space for the amount of journaling that I wanted to include on the layout, which means I am hiding some journaling behind the photo. Now, to do this, I have used the envelope and tag metal die set, which was available in July 2025. That is still available in the shop and you'll find the link for that in the description box. I wanted the tag to, so when you create the tags with the die, the tag sits all the way down inside the pocket. But because I wanted this to be a little bit of a feature, I wanted it to be really obvious that you can pull it out. I did want it to sit a little bit further up in the envelope. So to help me with that, I've placed the tag down where I wanted it to sit and then just run a line of stitching across the bottom of the envelope, and that stops the tag from falling all the way down. You could also achieve this effect with some staples. You could hand stitch it, or you could just trim the top of the tag, the top of the envelope off, so that enough of the tag peeks through. And you can see that that's now added another layer behind the photo. Because it is quite thick, I have added a small piece of chipboard on the other side of the photo just to help with stability. And I turned the die set actually cuts a rectangle tag to go inside the envelope. I wanted mine to be a shipping tag shape, so I've just used a punch to chomp the corners off, another punch to sort of punch a little piece for a ribbon to go in. And now, because I have used a whole lot of wet adhesive there to make sure that it's stuck down to that gauze, I've weighted it and I've put it to the side. I'm going to leave it for a good long while to make sure that it is stuck down really well. And now I'm ready to get stuck into the second side of the photo, of the layout, the right hand side of the layout. And for this is where I'm bringing in all of the photos. I had this idea of creating a little bit of a gallery using some of these chipboard frames. I always love the idea of chipboard frames, but I find it hard to actually get them onto my layouts. More often than not, I will use them as layering elements to create clusters. But this time I wanted to stretch myself into actually using them as intended, as frames. So I laid out all of my photos. I pulled out the chipboard frames that coordinated well with the particular products that I was using, the papers and the colors. And then I just played around with moving those frames and trying to get them framing photos that I wanted to stand out. So I'm framing the photos where there's just these really cute little sweet looks on my daughter's face and my husband's face. And also then, thinking about where they would actually fit, because some of those frames are quite small. So I needed to find photos where their faces were close together. And then I went and I backed the remaining photos onto some patterned paper. Now, I am going to be completely honest here. You are watching me put this together like it just is so easy to grab all of these photos and just place them down and we have a lovely arrangement of photos. That is not reality. Reality is it took me about half an hour off camera of moving, shuffling, rearranging, it took half an hour of messing around and quite honestly, a bit of frustration to find a placement that I was happy with. So I think it's really important that you know that what you see in these videos can often be really heavily edited. And so you are not seeing the full process. And I think that's really important to understand that things that might look easy on video, there's quite often some stuff that's going on behind the scenes there. So I've adhered the photos back onto the patterned paper. I've added some tissue paper behind them. You can also see that I have brought in some of that gauze across the middle there. And again, that's just bringing in some of the same elements that are on the left-hand side of the page to the right-hand side, just to reinforce a really cohesive design. And because those photos that are already stuck down, they are a little bit dimensional, I'm just using small pieces of chipboard. This is your chipboard that came in packaging, shipping of products, just in the spaces where the framed photos are flat against the page. And that again is just for stability, to make sure that we don't have uneven layers and that when I pop it away, things start to bend and sink. So adding those in, and I think that is about it. We've got everything placed down and ready to go. And again, trying to replicate some of those elements from the left-hand side over onto the right-hand side. I've taken this same basket weave patterned paper. I've cut some slightly smaller strips. These aren't quite 1 inch. I think they are about 3/4 of an inch. I've fringed those again, and then I'm just tucking them in 3 different spots where they fit on this side of the page, and that repeated element. So from the left to the right, we've got the same pattern papers used to back the photos that were used in the paper strips on the other side. We've got those fringed basket weave patterned papers, we've got the tissue paper, we've got the gauze, so we've got some real cohesiveness going on between each side of the page. Now I am getting ready to stick my title down on this main page. The title is the alpha stickers that came in the main kit or the embellishment kit, and I'm just going really simple here. Your first swim. I placed them out on this little ruler first because they are laying on a couple of different sort of pieces of paper and textural bits. I added some wet adhesive behind the tops of them, and then I've used my little paperweight there to weight those down while the adhesive dries. While I'm doing that, I am adding a little die cut tag off to the left hand side of the photo that says make a splash. I'm tucking my tag into the envelope behind the photo, and then just trimming down that bit of ribbon there that I had adhered on the top, just so I've got an idea of how it's all looking before I start embellishing. So I sat down and I grabbed a couple of the papers that had these really beautiful floral prints, and I did a whole lot of fussy cutting. And then I've just sorted through for the flowers or the florals that I want to use, or I think I might use on these two pages. I'm looking for not just colors, but also size. Some of these pieces are pretty big, and so I don't really want the massive clusters of florals. So I sorted through them, and now I'm just going to play around with tucking them in a few different places. I'm trying to make sure that I've got similar florals on each side of the layout. And on the left-hand side, I'm going to create a cluster on either side of the photo. On the right-hand page, I'm going to add those florals in 3 different spots around the page. Just thinking about rules of design here, rules of 3 on the right-hand side. Odd numbers of embellishments are coming into my mind as well. And look, I'm going to be honest, I do go pretty crazy with the florals here. On reflection, I really loved the clean look before I added all the florals. But if you have been to Bali, you will know that these kind of like tropical florally things, they are everywhere. So it is a big feature in Bali. It's part of their culture. It's part of their religion. So everywhere you go, you are going to see flowers and foliage and leaves. So I think, although I've definitely gone to town adding florals here, it's very, very relevant for the context of this layout. So I'm going to go and I'm going to tuck them in. I'm trying to layer them up in a few different places. And again, just thinking about some balance here, making sure that I've got sort of similar colors covered in each cluster. You can see I've got the bright pink, I've got the coral, I've got the orange, I've got the white, and then in the foliage pieces, I've got the teal color and the green. So I'm layering them up. I did consider adding a little bit more of a floral piece there in the middle, but it didn't work. So instead, I'm going to add more of a simple circle embellishment piece there to fill that gap. And then off camera, I'm going to adhere all of these down. That's done now, and then come in with some finishing touches. Initially, I had put this Just Keep Swimming circle piece in because I thought it really fit well, but the more I looked at it, the more I wasn't happy with it. It's just the blue's just too dark. So before I finish, you will see me sub that out with an embellishment that I created myself, just with a circle punch and one of the word strips from that cardstock sticker sheet. So I am going to add a few of the stickers from this cardstock sticker sheet in. Then I will come in with the puffy stickers, add a few more of those. And then to finish off, more florals that I am coming in with, that I cut using the summer metal die set. I cut some little florals and some little foliage pieces from the cardstock kit, and I'm going to build some tiny little clusters to add to my very big and bright clusters already. And that will be it to finish off this really bright and fun 2-page layout. Thank you so much for watching today. If you would like to get your hands on these exclusive Hip Kit Club products, you can find all of the kits and add-ons using the link in the description box down below. And don't forget, you can use my affiliate code Belinda Jane to get 10% off your first order. There are so many benefits to becoming a Hip Kit Club subscriber. You'll receive discounts on additional kits, enjoy bundled shipping, and get access to loads of design team inspiration, monthly project sheets, and even free cut files every month. We'd also love for you to join the exciting new Hip Kit Club Craft and Connect group. It's a wonderful creative community full of inspiration and support. You don't have to be a subscriber to join. It is open to everyone, and at the moment it's free to join. So I will add the link for that also down in the description box. And while you are here on the Hip Kit Club channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on all of the upcoming projects from our amazing design team. I will leave you now with a few images of my completed projects. I hope you have a wonderful day.